Hey guys, what we're looking at here is the Bitcoin dominance chart. And the reason why I'm showing it is because it's about to do something it hasn't done since in 2021, which is about 5 years ago. And what that is this red line and white line are about to cross June 10th. And I find that very interesting because it's going to cross at the same time that Ethereum has like the lowest sentiment ever, where bulls are selling their Ethereum, where the foundation is breaking apart, where everybody does not believe in Ethereum anymore, and they're making memes about Ethereum, about the price going down all the time. And I find it interesting that these lines are about to cross, and that was the start of the last altcoin season. You can see the red line and the white line crossing right here, and then shortly after that, altcoin season started. And how you know altcoin season started is because Bitcoin dominance started to fall, which means it's giving up the dominance to the altcoins, especially Ethereum, because it's the highest market cap altcoin. And so it makes sense that Ethereum would get a lot of that. However, though, it could be another altcoin. And I'm going to show you another one that you can see a big difference. So stay tuned for that one. And if you even go back to the last altcoin season as well, back in 2016, you can see the lines crossed right up here, and that was the start of the altcoin season. Now, just because it hasn't happened, once, twice in the past, just because it's done that doesn't mean it's going to do the same thing in the future. Just because these lines cross does not mean it's going to be altcoin season. I just find it very interesting that it's happening right now with sentiment with Ethereum very low, and also the Clarity Act on the table to getting passed, which could help fuel an altcoin season and really makes sense that there would be altcoin season. And this is coming at the perfect time because if you've been around this last cycle, you know that it was just a select altcoins that did really well, along with Bitcoin that did really well. So if you were in altcoins before, you could be completely wrecked if you weren't in the right ones. And so I think that's a perfect setup for an altcoin season with sentiment and everybody out of altcoins that was going to give up in the first place. This was a huge altcoin season. It lasted from August 2016 all the way to January 2018. So about a year and a half. Huge altcoin season. This one, the last one we had in 2021, it was about six months. It went from January 2021 to July. And dominance stayed down there for a while, so I guess some altcoins probably did well as when it was down there. But the lines are about to cross June 10th, which is very, very interesting, because if they did, a lot of that contradicts a lot of people's thinking with the bear market ending in October. So how come we have an altcoin season that starts in June? Doesn't make sense. Leave a comment down below what you think about this, because I'm trying to make sense of all this, and this is just some information I wanted to share with you. Now let's take a look at some other charts. Here's Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Dogecoin. I put Dogecoin up here just because you can see when those lines cross, Dogecoin did have a huge run, which really is a good example of altcoin season starting. And so that was the first time the red line, or the last time the red line and the white line crossed. You can see Bitcoin was at like 36,000, made a little bit of a correction, then made the final move up to around $64,000. Ethereum was around 900 and eventually went all the way up to around $4,000. It's kind of hard to see it, but it went all the way up up here around 4,400. And so this was about 50% gain, and then Ethereum was more about 300%. So that's where Ethereum started to really outperform Bitcoin, but you can see it went up about 100% still actually. And then with Ethereum, it jumped up a lot, like right there, and it went up 330%. So it started to outperform Bitcoin. Obviously Dogecoin went up to the moon when that happened, and it was pumping a little bit already, but then it went up like almost 8,000%. Yeah, a little over 8,000%. Now the last time, the first altcoin season, where it was about a year and a half, that was a pretty big one. The lines crossed and Dogecoin went sideways for a while, still about 220 days, and then eventually had its bull market, 6,000%. And then that was a big runway for Bitcoin. But I just wanted to show you, what these charts actually look like, what the coins, what the different cryptocurrencies did when altcoin season, well, when these lines started to cross and Bitcoin dominance started to go down. And like I said, I just find it very interesting that it's going to be happening with the Clarity Act possibly passing in July, and then also with the sentiment of Ethereum at an all-time low. Now, I'm not saying that Ethereum has bottomed yet. Benjamin Cohen went over Ethereum, and he was saying that he thinks Ethereum could get down to 1,500, and that it could possibly happen in June, because Ethereum did bottom out this last June. Where is it at? Right here. So the last bear market, Ethereum bottomed out in June. So Benjamin Cohen was saying that possibly Ethereum could bottom out then. And that would really line up with Bitcoin dominance dropping, because if Ethereum has such a big market cap, and if it starts to go up, it's going to eat away at Bitcoin dominance. So let me know in the comments what you think, and then just remember, I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. This is just my opinion and my thoughts on the charts, and I just wanted to give you this data. So have a good rest of the day. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you in the next one.